Welcome back to the Film Crusade. I'm Sam,
And I'm Ben.
and we have a special guest today. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm T Money Tommy, or just call me Tommy.
And today we are finally able to talk about Stranger Things Season 5. We've been really excited. I've been watching all the seasons leading up to this season. I'm really excited to talk about it. Tommy here is a really big fan. Ben's a big fan. Tommy, why don't you give us your opinion on Stranger Things? Not this season. We're just going to talk about just the whole show in general.
Yeah, so I found the show for me to be I really connect with the show as always someone who's been seen as an outsider of sorts. It is something I really resonate with, particularly with one of the main character storylines, and it was my first show I really got into. I started watching it when season four came out. I was so intrigued by it. Season four, I literally went out to New York City to Stranger Things experience, and it was awesome. Um, I bought a Hellfire Club shirt, ended up selling it because my I don't think my mom wanted me to wear something with a devil around the house. Even though I very much regret that because I can't get that back. But it was it's one of my favorite shows, and I really like how they've gone along and they're really yes it's they it's really been interesting seeing like how when they started the show they didn't expect it to go far, and now it's the biggest show in the world.
It is the biggest show in the world. I mean,
Literally.
it's incredible what they've been able to accomplish with, they didn't expect a whole lot going into season one.
Mm-hmm.
And then season one took off, and then season two took off even more.
Yeah.
That's when I first initially started watching it. I started watching in season two. My parents had watched season one, I think, and then people were talking about it in middle school, and I was like, maybe I'll give it a shot with my parents, and my parents wanted to rewatch it, and it was amazing. Like, I was blown away by the young actors, and um, I felt, like you said, I felt seen just because I was able to watch a show that was so good with people who were around my age, and that was an incredible thing to see on TV. What
Um,
about you, Ben?
Bit of a disclaimer: we are filming this episode really late at night, so I'm going to be speaking a little bit more quieter than usual. But we fall into the trap that we have normally fallen into with media and stuff like that. You guys have deep emotional connections to it. I just like the show. I think it's cool and funny, and that's it. Um, I got into it around the same time as you, Tommy. Actually, I got into it right after season four released. I had first heard of it, I think, around when season two came out because I remember an uncle talking to me about it. But like, we didn't have Netflix. I never had Netflix, as my family just never had it, and so I just never watched it. And then in high school, one of my best friends, who I hope we can get onto the podcast for the finale episode of Stranger Things, but he was like, "You've never seen Stranger Things?" And I'm like, "No." And he's like, "All right, you're coming to my house, and we're gonna watch it." So I watched all of season one and two in, well, not the same night, in two separate nights, but we watched it all in one day, and then we watched three, and then we watched four, and it's such a fun show, and I love the storytelling in it. I love the characters in it, and yeah, I mean it's a nice blend of action and mystery and stuff like that, but it's also got good comedy in it from time to time. So it ticks all the boxes for me.
And if I might add, I remember when I first started watching this show, I was between volume one and volume two of
Mm-hmm.
season four, and I started watching. I was like, I might as well give this a try, and immediately I watched it till 3 a.m. that night, and about 3 a.m. every night for the next 2 weeks afterwards.
Yeah.
And it was really funny because this is like the first time I ever stayed up late watching something, and one night I think my dog decided to go and relieve herself on my mom's pillow. She didn't realize until 3 a.m. in the morning, and so I hear noise coming from upstairs. I'm like, "What's that?" And she's in the morning. Yeah, and so it was just really funny. But that's one of those core memories for me personally that really sticks out.
I've been telling Sam that ever since like I've rewatched 5, or not rewatched 5, but when I watched 5, I just keep seeing twinkling and like flashing or like buzzing lights all around me, and I'm like, oh shit, there's a
It's
Demogorgon.
difficult. Sickness can we drink?
Yeah,
But yeah,
it's a bad season for that because there's twinkle lights all over the place because of
yeah,
Christmas. But yeah.
yeah, it's crazy. Well, I first want to jump into what did you expect or what did you think was going to happen going into season five? Because I mean, obviously, season one or season five, part one is now out, and we have all seen it. Um, and we'll talk about that. But what did you think was going to happen, or what did you think we would be seeing? Like for me, like I thought it was gonna be like a slow burn, kind of right off the bat. Like, I mean, obviously we never knew what to expect,
Hmm.
but I thought it was gonna be a very similar start to season four, where like we were being introduced to new characters right off the bat. But no, season five jumps straight back into the action right
Hmm.
away. What were your thoughts leading into the season?
Yeah, so opposite of you, I knew that it would be like running right off of the bat. But I didn't necessarily realize that it almost felt, well, going into it. There was a lot I was expecting, but I realized there are 100 different ways they can take this, and
Hmm.
that was really what it is to me. And obviously, as we'll talk later on, it was awesome. But I just there was a lot. The only thing I really knew was it would really hit the ground running, and honestly, other than that, so many of the other things I didn't realize would really come into it as
Hmm.
I thought they would.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of a mix of the two of you. I thought that they were going to get into the action right away, but I was not expecting the time skip. I thought it was going to be like pick up like I knew they were doing a time skip, but I thought there would actually be some scenes like in the aftermath of season 4, like or immediately after season 4 ends. I didn't expect like I forget what it is. I think it's like a tiny bit over a year of a skip between 4 and 5, and I was expecting more just right off the bat, just from 4. But yeah, I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but I just really want to talk about this one moment because I called it. Um, the
Oh,
bi-
on which moment in particular?
we got to talk about the big one first. I feel like.
Well, sure. On. Let's just we'll talk about first we'll get to that very quickly.
Hmm.
But let's just talk about what our predictions initially were. Like
Mm.
my big thing going into season five was I thought Steve was gonna die at the end. That was my big thing. I think Steve was gonna die. At this point, I don't know.
I didn't think Steve was gonna die. I think part of it was just cope, but I just didn't. I didn't think it was gonna happen. Yeah, I'll let Tommy go because I had a really big prediction. So.
Yeah, so I thought I had a very strong feeling about I knew who would be the vanishing of dot dot
Hmm.
dot.
Yes.
And the episode, funny enough, the title for it still says the vanishing of dot dot
Yeah.
dot. So I'm presuming so they don't spoil it.
Hmm.
But that, and also I thought Will would get like kidnapped by Vecna at the
Mm.
end or something. That was
Yes.
that was one thing I thought would happen.
Which now we can lead into your point.
My biggest prediction for the season was that Will was getting powers, and I was right. So, I
Will did get powers. It
yes.
was an incredible scene. Like at
Hmm.
first, I wasn't sure how I felt about it. Like I was excited because it was
Oh,
really cool and it was
spoiler
dope.
alert, by the way.
Yeah, spoiler. Yeah.
I don't
But
know why you're here if you haven't seen it, but
it was it was a little unexpected. But like as they were leading up to it,
hmm.
it was very evident that they were going to do it. Like that they're like when Mike and Will were having the conversation in the field as they were walking, I knew that they were gonna
Hmm.
because you're like you're a superhero, Will. You're a
Hmm.
superhero.
Yeah.
You could have you're like Vecna or something. I don't
Hmm.
remember the exact. I was like, okay, so they're giving him powers.
Yeah. 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 I think just a tiny bit of unexpected thing I want to talk about is I okay, so there's some characters in this season that I was not expecting to like as much as I do, just on some precedent of how they were in some past seasons, and I specifically want to talk about Mike and Will. I didn't care about either of them. I didn't see the thing was is that I was indifferent towards Will. I thought he was alright. I feel like he's just always just on the sidelines. They like don't really give him much of a story after one, and then Will I actually kind of just didn't like. I just kind of hated Will. Both of them are pulling like a good performance this season. Like
No,
I think Will and Mike are both extremely compelling this season, and that's honestly shocking to me because I never liked Mike, and now I like him a lot more. Like episode
Mike is
4,
great in season one.
yeah,
He's great in season one. He's great in season five. Will is great in one and two,
yeah,
and now five.
yeah,
Yeah. They don't give a whole lot of plot. I mean, I
no,
know you like
yeah,
you like Will as
yeah,
personally as a character.
Yes.
And I just I mean, I will say he's probably the most talented actor in that whole show.
Oh, no
but
snap.
yeah, Noah Schnapp.
Oh, one thing, I have a very funny thing. So basically, he's from New York, the area where my folks are originally from.
mm,
A couple of years ago, right after season 4 came out, and I was talking with one of my cousins. We call her Anne because it's the same thing in age, same age gap, whatever. And she mentioned about how Noah Schnapp had taken driver's ed with some of her students,
wow,
and apparently there was a video that was recorded was like, "Hi, Mrs. F," which just really just kind of fun,
yeah,
kind of funny. A lot of my paths weirdly cross with a lot of
Yeah,
people, as you know before.
Yeah.
But yeah,
but season one, he's incredible.
Mhm.
He's incredible at like all the terrifying scenes. And season two,
yeah.
particularly when
I will
he's
say,
like taking control by the mind flare.
yeah, I will
Oh my
say,
God,
season 2 is
some of
really
the
good.
best acting I've ever seen from a kid.
Hmm.
It's honestly unbelievable.
Yeah,
But then in season three, he's completely sidelined.
hmm,
Season four, he's completely
hmm,
sidelined, and it's given in season four. Max is incredible.
hmm,
Um,
yeah,
but in season five, they bring it back to Will,
yeah.
and Will's really pulling some. He's pulling the. What's the word? He's carrying everyone on their back by
Yeah,
now.
yeah. I liked I think specifically I think like Mike overall was good this season, but like I think episode 4 is like his main like episode for me that I like. Will I think has the entire season actually so far that I'm really liking from him. Like
Yeah,
his stuff with Robin's really good even before like their big talk. I liked his dynamic with Robin. Him finally like kind of telling his mom, "Hey, I can do this." You know, I liked that part. But I think just specifically, I want to talk about Mike with just in his episode 4 with the kids, you know, where he's like he's being the leader of like stay with me, eyes on me, stuff like that. That was a really good scene, and I really like how he's doing. I think I don't know if I can 100% agree with Noah Schnapp being the best kid actor. I think he does a really good job, especially like you said, season 2, he does a really good job. But I think Finn Wolfhard deserves some credit on that one because I remember season 1, Mike is really good, and I mean Gaten Matarazzo, he's definitely. I mean Dustin's my favorite of the 4
yeah,
boys.
Dustin's
I
really
think he
good.
deserves a bit of a shout out, especially for 3. He does a really good job in 3. But yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
no.
The funniest thing The funniest thing is that he hates that song in interviews. Like he absolutely detests it, but he's fun. He's
Yeah.
good about it. He's really funny
He
about
knows how to sing. He's a Broadway actor.
He is
it.
Broadway.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
I've
Yeah.
seen a clip of him singing for like an animated movie or something like that, and it was like he was
yeah.
really good. So
Yeah, no, they're all very incredibly talented, and they all were given a little bit of a chance to shine in throughout the seasons, except for Lucas.
yes,
Um, well, I mean, Lucas gets a bit in season four.
4.
I
Yeah,
think he gets more. Season four is probably where he shines the most. He gets his own little storyline with the jocks, where like he's kind of like fighting them, and which honestly really dope.
yeah.
Um,
I think I
and Alvin's like he's kind of like the brute. I wouldn't say he's the brute of the group, but
yeah.
like when Dustin's getting bullied,
He's the muscle.
and this he's the muscle, which is awesome. I love it that they're all like very different. Like
Yeah.
Dustin is the one getting bullied, and he's like, I mean, obviously I'm not super happy with Dustin being how he is this season, but like you can all understand it. He's
Yep.
grieving like
Yep.
horribly. But like Mike is like a big nerd who's got like a superhero girlfriend. Dustin, he's the outcast and then there's Lucas, who's the uh, jock, like muscle,
Yeah.
and then there's Will, who's, I mean, Will is yeah. But like they're all very different, which is awesome. Like because they all were so
Yeah.
like contained together, and they're all very similar, but they all grew apart and you know became who they were. Um,
You go.
yeah. No, you can go.
Oh, um, one thing I do want to say is I saw this really good video and I agree with it a lot actually, and it's about Lucas's story, and I think they were saying that Lucas's story is very subtle. I think that the main point of this video that I saw was basically just that Lucas has kind of turned into Steve in the sense that like he's taken the qualities of Steve of like protector, leader, stuff like that, and like he's kind of taken like Steve's like good qualities and like kind of turned it up because like I think like I forget where it's from, but there's like some like, or maybe it's a theory, maybe it's confirmed, I don't know, but like there was something about like Steve kind of trained Lucas in basketball a little bit between seasons 3 and 4 and
Yeah,
like tutored him and stuff like that. And I really wish I looked at that video before talking
I see what you're
because
talking about.
yeah.
I see what you. I would see what you're talking about, but then I think back to the episode. I think it's episode 3 where they're fighting the Demogorgon in the house,
Mm-hmm.
and Lucas is in the sideline yelling at Mike, "Get him! Get him! Get him! Get him! Get him!" And like, if Lucas were Steve, Lucas would have grabbed that shovel and then started whacking him
Well, they're not the
himself.
same person, of course. You got to give
No, I
it
know.
that
But
lenience,
also,
but
Lucas did like stand up to the Demogorgon himself,
yeah,
right
because
at the beginning. So I mean, fair.
I think
I think he does have some growth. I think he's
yeah,
definitely his own character.
yeah. I think they were mostly talking about episode 4 with the two kids in the Demogorgon and stuff like that. So
And
I find Lucas is definitely he's the emotional support for a lot of people,
mm-hmm,
particularly in season 2 in the
mm-hmm,
aftermath of the attack on the Wheeler house.
yeah,
He's there for Nancy and Mike,
yeah.
and
That was a good
really
scene.
says a lot of, and it really does say a lot about his character. Really, just he's there for that emotional support, which is awesome.
Yeah, yeah. I think that was a good scene. Yeah. Too bad my goat Ted Wheeler got
well, he's
pieced
not
up,
dead.
but
He's incapacitated.
Vecna
I,
knew he was too
if
strong. He
they're
had to put him in a
no,
coma.
no, he is safe. He is completely safe because they hospitalized him once. He's not going to be hospitalized or hurt again.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good storytelling.
Yeah.
Now let's jump into one of the most important things of the season that I think we don't know too much about yet. Um, well, we'll talk about the episode 4 completely at the like we'll talk section about episode 4
Yeah.
and what we predict is going to happen. But before we do that, I want to talk about Steve and Dustin. I want to
Okay.
talk about that because this is, I mean, the two most important characters in the show, objectively. Like in terms of like fan favorites. In terms of fan
In terms
favorites.
of fan favorites, to the actual
Yes.
In terms of fan
show,
favorites,
maybe not.
these are the
but
two characters people care about the most
yes,
objectively.
yes,
And
that I can
that is
agree.
okay. That's because what is going on with them? I mean, obviously we know that Dustin's grieving, and Steve is just trying to be there for him. But where is it going to lead?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where do you think it's going to lead?
I have a feeling. Well, my I guess you could arguably say my theory is, judging from the things I've seen in the trailers and stuff, I think it's going to lead to because Dustin's still grieving and he's processing, but I think he's probably going to end up having almost a bit of an emotional breakdown
Yeah.
of sorts because, and again, I think without going into theories, I think there's a reason Steve needs to be there for him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm personally highly doubting that Steve dies at least in volume 2.
Yeah.
Maybe finale, I don't know.
Yeah.
But Dustin needs Steve right now
Mm-hmm.
in terms of his character because Dustin is still grieving after the loss of his other father figure of Eddie, and so I definitely think that that is kind of what I've been thinking in terms of what might happen.
Yeah.
I do agree. I think if big if, people who know me who talk about Stranger Things with know I hate to think of the thought of Steve dying, but if they kill Steve, I don't think it'll be in volume 2. If it's going to be anything,
Yeah.
it'll be the finale.
No, it'll be the finale, and it will be the if they're killing Steve, I don't think they're gonna kill everyone else
Mm-mm.
because they want to make Steve the most important death.
Yes.
That's my theory.
Yes.
That if well, I don't like talking about this, but I don't. And after seeing this first volume, I think Steve is safe because I think I know who isn't safe.
Yeah, I think just going a little bit into like the whole just Steve and Dustin dynamic. I think Steve is safe just because of one big thing. I think it's just because of Eddie. I think Eddie dying is kind of the reason that Steve is safe. Now the reason is because
Yes.
storytelling wise, why would you kill Eddie and then have Dustin be this affected by him in season 5? If you're
Oh,
just gonna kill Steve right after that too, you're kind of
the
just doing the
moment
same thing for Dustin.
the moment Dustin started grieving that hard, I
Yep.
knew Steve was safe.
Yep.
But also, I think right now they're setting up another character's death. Do you know who I'm talking about? Do you? I think I've talked to you about this.
Jonathan?
Well, I think Jonathan could be one,
I was gonna say
but
I have a theory about Jonathan.
I think Robin's dead.
Mm,
Yeah.
I
There's
can agree.
and it's because of everything that's been going on with her and Will.
Exactly.
Like, for one, they've been giving a lot of exposition to Robin.
Mm-hmm.
That's my first. They've been giving a lot of exposition. We're getting to know Robin more. Two, the whole relationship with Robin being a mentor to Will and Will now having superpowers. That is a key point. If Robin dies and Will is affected by that, that will drive him to use his powers more emotionally,
Yeah.
and it'll be an outburst of emotion and outburst of powers. That's my second point. And third point, who other than Dustin, and because Dustin's completely safe, would affect Steve or
Yeah,
something
that's fair.
in a
That's
sense.
a good point.
And I just Robin is a very beloved character
Mm-hmm.
where it wouldn't ruin people's viewing of the show,
Yeah.
but it would still hurt them.
Yeah.
I personally can definitely see that. I've been seeing a lot of memes just going around about something radios, and I don't know because
Shock, shock.
Shock.
Shock. She's the host of the Squawk radio station.
Yep.
But really, I can definitely see this being the case, though I don't necessarily think that Robin's death would necessarily wilt an outburst of emotion because I think those feelings resolve around another. Yes.
Yeah.
But also, I just without again going too much on the personal tangents. When also because I in my own life I've found I have a close friend to me who has been a mentor to me in a way how Robin has been similar to Will, and so there's a lot of relationship and things in there that have been definitely good. But also, yes, I could potentially see Robin as cooked.
Yeah.
But
Robin's cooked.
but also
She's a roast beef jerky.
I'm not entirely sold. I'm not entirely sold just because I haven't had enough time to really think about what that would be. But I'm honestly not sure. But yeah, even though yeah.
One way, just to play devil's advocate, one way I could see them not killing off Robin is just because with the whole Will getting his power segment, Robin was close to dying to the Demogorgon. I could see that being as a, close near
Yeah.
death. I could see that being a reason why she would be safe. They already played it.
Because
But
Will saved her once. Why would they make it happen again?
yeah.
Yeah.
But
But also in the second sense, Will already saved Mike, and
Mhm.
if anything, Mike would be the other person.
yeah.
Um, who else would it be? I mean, Joyce, but Joyce was Joyce the third person, right? Or who
No,
was the third person?
it was Lucas. Yeah.
Lucas. If it was, I mean, it could be Joyce in another scene.
Yeah.
I could see that. Like, but in all seriousness, I mean, I have no clue who like how they would do it,
Yeah.
how they'd execute it. We don't know what's going to happen in this next.
Yeah.
Yes. No, we haven't even gotten a trailer yet. My ChatGPT predicted it's probably going to come out. If we get a trailer, it's probably going to be at earliest the 10th of December, and sometime between the 10th and the 20th is what I would expect. But again, it is the 4th today, so at the day we're recording this, so I not we still have time to cook on our theories before we get any.
I think we'll probably get the season trailer or like the trailer before like probably around the 13th and 14th or something, because they just want to give us a little bit of time.
Yeah.
But moving on to another character who's probably not safe. Jonathan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jonathan's just he doesn't have enough character,
And
and also I could totally see them doing something with the ring.
The ring.
Yeah, it's what Jonathan dies and then Nancy finds it or something. That would be the world's most heartbreaking.
I saw,
but I can see that happening.
Credit due to someone who I saw on TikTok or on Instagram or whatever. I saw this theory where Jonathan dies or sacrifices himself for Nancy and maybe potentially also Steve, so that they could potentially have a relationship. We'll get into that. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
And then Nancy goes to Jonathan's room, or Steve or Jonathan has it on him, and she plays and this is an extra thing I added. She plays the tape, and it's actually a proposal tape, and she sees the ring and plays the tape, and then she starts crying. And that is something I could see totally happening and being one of the most emotional moments, I think, in Stranger Things. Totally.
Yeah.
I think that would probably be the most emotional scene that they could have made. And I think they know that. And that's why they set that up early.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that would be devastating.
Yeah, I think, I talked to you a lot about it, and we're big on like theorizing between, is it going to be Jancy? Is it going to be Stancy? Is it going to be neither? And I think our biggest reactions were neither right after Volume 1. I've given it more thought, and I think it's either neither or I think it's Stancy.
There is no Jancy.
I don't think there's Jancy. There's no way it's Jancy.
Jonathan hasn't done enough for this relationship. And
honestly, I was telling you this thing. I was like, I'm either reading too into it or it's way too subtle. That like it kind of seems like Nancy's just kind of like upset with Jonathan and just kind of fed up with him, and she seems to be like kind of like backing Steve up a lot more. That I'm not giving credence to like being Stancy. I'm just making more of like putting it like Jancy to bed more than anything. I think I don't think there's any way that they're the two final ones, because they've been together since season 2 and up until now, and I think it's been something that's like way too consistent for them to like be the end. You know what I mean? I think it would like not be a good end to their arcs if that's just it with no conflict.
See, like,
I don't think it's satisfying enough.
I would have been completely fine. I mean, I'm a Stancy fan, but I would have been completely fine if it was Jonathan and Nancy. If Jonathan and Nancy actually worked at the relationship, they don't, and they I feel like they've been setting up that the relationship is supposed to fail for the past 2 seasons, and it's just like so stupid because they're wasting like a perfectly good romance between Steve and Nancy. But at this point, I feel like Steve is just too good for Nancy.
I have a big counter to the good for Nancy thing.
Okay.
A lot of people say, I don't want Stancy because Steve is too good for Nancy. The thing that I say is the different thing to that is that is not how Steve views it. Steve definitely does not view that he's too good for Nancy. He probably still feels that Nancy's too good for him. And I would say that the reason that like I don't like it when people say that he's too good for Nancy is like I feel like it's just like it's kind of ignoring the fact that that's probably what Steve wants. I feel like Steve would choose Nancy. You know what I mean?
Oh no, I know. I 100% agree with everything you're saying.
Yeah.
But like, it's just that I don't see a world where Steve and Nancy end up together without it being messy.
I could see that, and I think Jonathan dying is a perfect way of making it messy.
like here, the only way they'd have it happen is, or have it shown happen is, it's super brief and it's at the end of the season and it's like a couple years later.
Yeah, I can see
I
that.
do not see them because you need to give Nancy time to grieve. You need to give Nancy a lot of time
Without
to
making it look
not,
like Steve's an asshole for swooping in.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You cannot make this. You cannot make Steve and Nancy work without, like, right off the bat, without making Steve look like an asshole, which would be the worst thing for you to do for Steve. And that's my. So the only way it would work, Steve Stancy, is if they do a 2-year, like a couple year job.
And I do know, without saying two things, I will say I do know there's going to be an epilogue. I don't know much more than that, but there's going to be an epilogue that's going to be about 35 to 40 minutes long at the end of the season. This is, and from what I've heard in my in my corners of the internet that I've seen. But gotta remember, the finale is also going to be
2.5
without
hours.
jumping. It's going to be between 2 and 2.5 hours, and there is room for a significant epilogue in there.
Yeah.
So we're going to get a very deep, because this is a huge show. They need to wrap up a lot of storylines.
Yes.
And so yeah, I will.
No, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
I think just to add some more credence to the epilogue thing is just that, like, a lot of people have, like, there's been this picture that's been floating around of Hopper in his chief of police uniform and Will.
Yes.
Or
I saw
Mike,
that.
Mike, I should say. I feel like that's kind of an epilogue thing, you know, because people are like, why is Hopper chief of police? So I'm like, well, if enough time passes, maybe Hopper, you know, comes back and stuff like that.
We both know that those two characters are safe anyway.
Yeah.
Because, like, they're not going to kill Hopper.
They're not gonna
That's
kill
a
him.
no-brainer. Like, they're not going to kill Hopper after, like,
He died.
He died in season 3.
Yeah.
And then they already teased it in, like, what was it, episode 4 with...
And I don't
yeah.
see a world where Mike dies. And a lot of people say, like, Mike... there's a lot of characters where they're like, oh, nobody's safe. No, there are characters who are
Yeah. Yeah.
That's complete crap. There are totally characters who are safe.
Now, I will say, certainly does not mean that they won't come out fully intact.
Yeah.
Because if we have time for later, there's a couple of theories I have in mind that might lead to some severe deformities on some characters. Well, I think episode 6, Escape from Camazons.
Yeah, that's the Max and Holly episode.
It's gonna be a Max-centric episode. Yeah. But again, that's the point. So
yeah, I think I think there's definitely characters that are safe. Like Hopper, again, I don't see it, especially with, you know, season 3 and the ending of season 3, and then also just they teased it with, like, him going to, like, sacrifice himself even earlier in the season. I think Mike is safe, of course. Like, you know, as much as you want to say, like, you know, I'm just thinking back to season 1. Will, or not Will, I keep saying Will when I mean Mike. Mike was the main kid, I think. You know what I mean? It's like, I know, of course, like, story-wise, Will is the most important, but I think Mike kind of, like, I just kind of, like, remembering, like, pop culture around that time, I remember Mike being, like, kind of the most, like, glorified one out of all of them. So I don't really see a world where Mike dies. I think...
Yeah, there's... Yeah.
I think
There's
Nancy's
a lot
safe.
of...
I don't really see a world where they kill Nancy.
Let's go down the list of people who we think are safe.
Yeah.
Okay. So Mike's safe.
Yeah.
Okay, we know Mike and Hopper are safe.
Yeah.
We already established that. Okay. Dustin is safe. For one, I saw this interview. I showed you this. I sent you this, right? I think I sent you this. So there's an interview where they're doing Hot Ones. The cast is doing Hot Ones.
Yeah.
And
Yes, you did send me this.
And then Mike is really mad, and he's like, "Spoiler to everyone, Dustin dies." And then they all looked at each other like jokingly.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't have looked at each other jokingly if Dustin did die.
Yeah.
And also just Dustin's not gonna die.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lucas is not gonna die. I don't think Erica's gonna die. Who else? Nancy's not gonna die.
Personally, this might be just a me thing, but I think Will is safe.
I don't think Will is safe.
I don't think Will is safe either.
Here's why. Episode 1, when they're playing the game, who character dies while they're playing the game. When they go outside, he tells Mike, the Demogorgon, it got me. Well, do you remember that?
Oh, you're talking about season 1. I thought you said episode 1.
Season one, episode 1. In their game, Will is the only character to die. Because he misrolled.
Yeah. What was it? He rolled a 7 or something?
Yeah, it was 7. And he was supposed to, I don't remember, I think he was supposed to roll like an 11 or something, which is hilarious. But he died. And I think, I don't know, that's just like my theory.
Yeah.
But like, if any of those original boys are dead, it's gonna be Will. I don't think any of
That's what unfortunately what I also think. But just to push back a bit in my own theories evidence. So when it comes to things going back, so Will is the first major out queer character on a majority on probably the world's most popular television show. His storyline has been such an integral part. Back in the day, again, I'm not saying that they won't do this. They could very much still do this. But back in the day, there was this trope, and I don't know if you're familiar with
I
it,
am familiar
of the bury the gays trope, which basically meant the gay characters would be killed. I'm going to say if Robin's cooked, does that make sense that Will would be cooked? Because
I agree with you. There's no way they kill off both of them.
Yeah.
They will not kill off both queer characters.
Yeah.
That's a phenomenal actually.
And well, so if you could let me continue.
Yes, go ahead.
When my first feeling, again, it could just be my emotional gut feeling, but after seeing everything with Will at the end, which I know we'll yap about this too, but at the end of episode 4 with his whole arc, I just have a very, very strong feeling that in my opinion, it would kind of be stupid for them to have him find his arc, find himself at the end of season 4, and then they just kill him. I don't think if they kill him, it would be in volume 2. It would be a finale thing.
Oh, 100% a finale thing.
But as well, there's a number of theories that I've had floating around in my head about this, but there's a lot of unresolved storyline with Will that still needs to be addressed. And if we get into that later, which I've definitely yapped with Sam about a bit, but I sent you. After you finished watching the season, you finished watching it like 2 days after me. I sent everything for the following morning, and
it was really funny.
Just got everything to you. The first thing I said to you was, Will fell for Mike so hard he became L.
Yeah,
but
I've seen that.
So,
Yeah,
and hilarious. But because a lot of the memes around this whole thing are like absolutely hilarious. But
and also like people are saying like now Will's hot.
That's just because he doesn't have a bowl cut anymore.
I do like his new haircut. I do like his new haircut.
All those are going crazy with the moment where he goes like.
That was a cool shot.
Yeah,
that was a cool.
Yeah. But getting it back to the point, I definitely could still see that. Yes, if any of the core 4 die, it probably will.
Yes.
I'd be very surprised if Mike is cooked, just because, especially there is, without getting too well. I'll go off on this little tangent right here. Mike is a very underexplored character for the show. We do not see anything from his perspective at all. It's always through other characters' perspective. And regardless of the way, however anyone wants to take this, his character, and I've seen this posted on so many different forums, is his character has a lot of emotional suppression. If you notice, after his parents die, or not die, but after the attack on the Wheeler house, well, Nancy is kind of after she's very obviously emotionless, that scene of her in the bathroom doing the Macbeth thing, washing her hands. It seemed like it was a Macbeth reference almost, but basically he's just sitting there in shock. I think his character might be in shock, but he doesn't get a lot of emotion, and I have a couple of theories about it, which we can get into later if we have time. But
I we probably do have time. But I just don't think that there's anything extra to.
Yeah,
They're gonna explore anything else. Like
yeah, but
just to be honest.
yeah, and I think it's going to be a real timing of we need to wait and see. But anyways, back to the point. Yeah, I think Will if anyone out of the core four right now, it's looking like his character is the most likely to be killed. If any out of the core four die, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I said in reaction to episode 1 to Sam was kind of like everything can change in an episode. You know what I mean? Like everything can be turned in a 360 in an episode. I think that was the biggest thing with the Kali or what is her actual number 8? The 8 reveal.
8.
That was like I think the biggest 180. Like I didn't hate it. I've actually like the funniest thing is I've actually never seen the Lost Sister episode because I remember when I watched it for the first time. Watch it.
Watch it. Yeah, you should rewatch it now. Probably. Since they brought it back.
Yeah, it's really fun. I was getting a haircut on Monday, and I was he was watching Godzilla on the screen, and Millie Bobby Brown showed up. But I was like, and I couldn't tell what it was, what the movie was, because I all I saw was Millie Bobby Brown. I said, "Oh, are you watching Stranger Things?" And he's like, "No, but I just finished the season. It was so good." And all of a sudden we were having this long conversation about theories and everything. And he's like, "Dude, Colin coming back in that stupid episode is so weird." And he's like, there was a whole, and then he brought up that there was a list of critical episodes to watch for this upcoming season, and that episode was one of them. And that was known before even this volume 1 came out. So you could have already guessed that she was going to be in it.
Yeah, that was actually something I was surprised about, and I didn't see. But honestly, it was like a secondary or tertiary theory in my book. Wasn't one of the things I was naturally going to be expecting to see.
Yeah,
her character return. We also just got that one scene. I don't know any of the you can probably guess how, but there's a bit of backstory. My gosh, but
yeah.
Again, right now, not too spoiler.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest thing is like I could understand people theorizing it, but I honestly thought just like from like a story standpoint, it wasn't gonna happen. But that it does make sense, and yeah, to pivot a little bit, there's been one big thing that I keep seeing the number 5 all over the place. That there's gonna be 5 deaths. So I kind of want to gauge on what you guys think is the 5 deaths, and I have a really.
Where have you seen that?
I just keep seeing it all over the place. I keep seeing it in comments and stuff like that. So I don't know how official it is, but
okay.
I have I have a crackpot theory, but why don't you guys go first?
I think I know what your crackpot theory is.
You definitely don't.
Is it the letter B?
No.
Okay, so
wait, is it specifically towards the letter B, or is it just about like characters with the letter B?
Characters with the letter B.
Okay, then I do have a theory about characters with the letter B.
No, so every season the characters who die with the letter B. Oh. Season 1 was Barbara. Was Barb. Season 2 was Bob. Season 3 was Billy. Season 4 was season 4 was Brenner. Dr. Brenner. I mean, obviously Eddie Munson, but like, you can say it. But in season 5, there's Murray Baumer. I can't remember his last name. I just not saying that's
Bauman. I think it's Bauman.
And then Jonathan and Will Byers. Robin Buckley. And there was one more. I'm thinking, but it could also be Joyce Byers.
Yeah.
Like, if all the Byers die, there's no way that's gonna happen. But like, there's 5 characters with a B, like you said. But, and I think definitely one of those is not this. I don't think it's gonna be definitely one of those 5. One of those 5 are in the list because they will keep up the B.
The thing is with the B thing is I feel like that might just be a coincidence more than anything.
It could be a coincidence, but those 5 characters are the 5 characters a lot of people have been theorizing will die. Yeah. I mean, they could easily kill off Murray and it not making a huge impact.
Yeah, I think
make it out of episode 4. We don't see him at the end.
Yeah, I'm guessing he did.
I don't.
He's just unconscious. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
I don't. Yeah,
He's just unconscious.
I think the one thing the like in a reason Murray won't die is just because he's just not important enough to kill.
yeah, yeah.
Like it wouldn't mean
Yeah, I mean,
anything.
what if they, if anything, they're just gonna give him like a Demogorgon death,
Could be.
something similar to kind of like how Eddie dies,
Yeah.
like where like he's a distraction, and he lets everyone get away,
Yeah.
or like he could use the truck to diverge everything,
Well, the
like his new
truck's kind of
truck.
flipped over.
I mean, okay, he gets a new truck.
Oh, he
But
conveniently gets a new truck.
that's something you would totally say. Like, conveniently, I got a new truck.
That does bring up a thing though. There's a character. They always like bringing new characters just to kill them off later in this season. My gosh, is this? I don't think it's going to be one of the. I don't think it's going to be one of the kids or
No,
Derek or anything.
I don't think it would be
I
Derek.
especially-
Derek's the goat. Derek's the goat.
But again, there's another thing that leads to the story about Robin, because Robin was a side character. She's more of a main character now. Because they didn't say they'd be introducing any new characters, and I don't think they will be. But there's definitely potentially things that like credits to the theory that Robin could be another character who gets killed off because she's almost like a new character being seen in a new light of sorts. And this is one I just thought of. I haven't even seen it floating around, but it's just thinking of the show's past track record of killing Bob, Billy, Billy-ish, and Eddie, of the number of characters we've had who've just been introduced and then killed off. But again, what was your crackpot theory, Ben?
So my crackpot theory is there's a line at the start of episode 1 of season 5 where the whole scene where the buyers are at the Wheelers and stuff like that breakfast scene, and like Ted says is like, how much longer of this or something like that, and like Karen says they'll be gone soon enough. My crackpot theory is that all the buyers die because, like Karen said, they'll be gone soon enough. It's definitely like I said, it's so crackpot. It's so crackpot because
Yeah.
like I will say it's not, the bee thing is kind of on par with the bee thing, but like just
I totally see one of the buyers dying.
Yeah.
I feel like that is almost it's not saying it's confirmed, but I feel like one of them has to die.
I think also just kind of piggybacking off of you, I think Jonathan dying would be good. For the Nancy Steve Jonathan arc, but I think it'd also actually be really good for Joyce because you kind of like see that like Joyce like obviously favors Will, not favors, but like she babies Will, and she kind of like doesn't like regard Jonathan very much. Could you imagine like the symbolism of like she poured everything into protecting Will just for the one son she didn't give much effort to dying? Like,
Also,
could you imagine that?
Yes, and also Jonathan could be another thing that like causes Will to like go off. So
I can see that.
there's so many different things that Jonathan's death could affect. Like he's not a super important character, like in
the
a
story.
protagonist, main character's sort of realm. But the characters he impacts indirectly are he impacts Nancy, he impacts Steve, he impacts he impacts Will, he impacts Joyce. And these are all, and well, actually, no, I wasn't thinking of Robin. I thought of Robin, but these are all characters who have super important plots at the moment, and are all things that are like he's all important in some sort of sense, and his death would have an immense toll, and I think it could happen, probably either in the finale or
I don't know. I could see
volume
Jonathan
two, end of volume two.
end of volume 2. Yeah, I could see him dying end of volume 2 because I feel like his death is like very impactful, but like not impactful enough that it's a finale episode. Like I think that one's one to stew with a little bit.
I agree, but I also disagree because if they do the thing with the ring, that's definitely going to be at the end of the show.
No, I agree, but like I feel like that could be like a, I feel like a thing of like he dies at the end of volume Volume 2, and then like they have the big final fight scene and stuff like that, the finale, and then there's like a bridge scene between the finale and then the actual epilogue with Nancy finding the ring. I could see that being a thing, but yeah, I don't think he's exclusively a finale death, but I would say last episode of Volume 2, start of the finale.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Other theory. Well, here, let's just talk about. We can now. I mean, we've been talking for a long time, but we haven't really jumped into episode 4, like the whole thing. Okay. First point. I think Callie. How do we portray Callie's powers, and why is she here? I saw this thing. I'm sure you've also seen this thing. Have you ever heard of the Escape Pod podcast?
No.
Okay. Credit where credit is due. Hack guy, you're incredible. He thought
ain't seen
of
it.
this amazing theory that Callie is somehow responsible for the Mr. What's It situation and how they are in a different world or like in a different world because what is Callie's powers?
Yeah, I can kind of understand it.
Are being
Yeah.
able to set make visions and illusions.
Yeah.
And what better way to make a twist than that Mr. What's It is Callie is responsible for all that? Like what is why is she there? What is she using her powers for? They have to have something set up and it needs to be explained within our season, this first volume. And there's nothing else I can think of except for maybe the wall. But like I mean, sure, it could be the wall, but that's
Well,
also
could she be the one? Could they be harnessing their powers to put the wall together? That's one theory I have. I have that she's somehow serving as a battery of sorts for everything, considering they're
That's what I think.
keeping her character hostage using the 11's kryptonite to keep her at bay. Again, that's just
I thought
one thing how I potentially see it, but again, just
yeah.
I thought
is that-
she was causing Eleven's kryptonite. That's what I was more thinking.
Right.
But
I mean, that could be
maybe.
We really don't know too much.
We don't know much about her, Dr. K, all those storylines, but there's one theory, interesting theory I've heard of. Again, it's going to just be another weird theory, but it's the 11 plus 8 plus 1 theory, which is
love that theory.
which is the one in season 4, episode 1, where they roll a 20 to defeat Vecna in the D&D scene, where it's going to take 11 and then 8,
Yep.
and then 1 either from Will, who gets his powers from Vecna, or for some reason, if Vecna gets redeemed, I
Some people say that Henry and Vecna are like two separate things.
Yeah.
Like that Vecna is kind of like that Vecna or Henry was like kind of became part with the Mind Flayer,
Yeah.
and that the Vecna identity is kind of actually the Mind Flayer, because what we did find out is or soon that I know we've discussed this is that you said that Henry created the Mind Flayer. That is not true, actually.
yeah.
They are two different things. So I do think the Mind Flayer is going to be the big bad of the end of the season.
I don't think so.
I can see it being very like it could be like it's definitely Vecna like as the main humanoid character, but like the main thing they're going to try to take down is the Mind Flayer while also taking down Vecna.
Yeah.
I think there'll be two separate groups taking them down at once.
Yeah, one thing to provide some context is or at least in how my mind sees things, which is I don't know if you guys have really seen or heard many of the things from the new Stranger Things play, The First Shadow. That play has a very huge emphasis on this. First of all, there's all the scenes from 59 and all of that, but also it goes into how essentially Vecna Henry Creel gets his powers from being stuck in a cave in Nevada, and he gets transported to Dimension X, which is not the upside. I don't know. I don't really understand it completely, but basically, this is where he gets his powers, and I think there's potentially some way how the Mind Flayer is potentially involved in this. Now, I'm not completely sold on the idea
Mind Flayer gave him his powers.
of the two aren't necessarily at war, but again, I
agree.
yeah.
I have a theory that like Vecna is kind of like the Mind Flayer's prisoner, and that's why. And there's something about like you remember that scene where Henry Creel is outside that cave and he looks terrified.
Mm-hmm.
They would not.
He found his powers in the cave, and it's meant to be that cave.
But like, what if there's a theory that like, if he goes into that cave, he can somehow get rid of his powers, and Vecna is stopping Henry from going into that cave. The Vecna identity is stopping him from going into that cave and becoming Henry again.
Oh, another theory about the whole Henry Vecna thing is why does Henry leave music in the mailbox for Holly, despite music that she likes, despite the fact that Vecna knows that music is like what frees people from his control. There's also that theory in question mark, and actually, in my opinion, it's a very solid piece of evidence. And also, without going too much into it, again, there's been a lot of comparisons between Will Vecna and Harry and Voldemort from Harry Potter.
Oh yeah.
Without going too much into a tangent, but there's there could be some similarities in how this thing is played out. Again, that's just that's just what I think.
I think the biggest hole with the Callie causing the Camazot thing is that fact that like how would Max be there? You know, if like
Fair.
if she's causing Mr. What's it, how is Max there? I don't see. I don't
Well,
think
Max
that's
is lit. I think Max is like
because she always
Fair.
keeps adamantly saying that she's in Vecna's mind. I don't see Callie creating
Okay.
Mr. What's it. I don't because like what's the gain of that? Why would the government be forcing her to do that? You know,
I
feel like it's a Vecna or Henry Coop
Yeah,
thing, and
sure.
Holly not being, I guess, so involved in it. But yeah, that's really, I think, what I've found.
Okay. I just as you guys were talking, I like the past couple minutes, I built up this story, this slash theory in my head of Henry's alternate story. Like, so when we first see Henry, like the earliest we've seen Henry was when he's with his parents in the house and they move into the house, right? So what if so I mean we as we know they moved into the house after the Nevada incident.
Yeah.
So what if that day? I mean, obviously. So before that incident, Henry was a normal kid.
mm-hmm.
So Henry's a normal kid. He moves. He goes to Nevada. He has the incident. The Mind Flayer is now part of him, and Henry is now this like demented kid, where like he doesn't. He's not really in the right mind. He's always fighting with the Mind Flayer in his mind, kind of like how Will is, which is why Vecna and Will have this kind of connection, because Vecna and Will are like the same. They've struggled with the Mind Flayer, and the Mind Flayer kind of took over him.
Their birthday's the same day.
Yeah.
That was recently confirmed.
And Vecna was told by the Mind Flayer to do all those things to Will.
Yeah.
And he's been, and it's been this ultimate battle between Vecna, and I don't believe this theory. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But this is just a theory I'm throwing out there because what if I'm right?
You're not.
And Vecna is having this internal struggle the entire time, and it's seen. I mean, obviously, season 4, like Vecna is totally evil, and we don't really know anything. But this season, when we see him in Camazot, there's just something about the fear in his eye that makes me think that there is an internal struggle that he's fighting.
Oh, yeah, I can see that. But I think First Shadow actually lends a lot of credits to your theory right there because it shows him how he was a normal kid until he encountered the thing. So definitely, there's.
And also, there's an interview where Will said that the most did you ever see this? That they're like, who is the most character you have or the character that you have sympathy for or something? I can't remember.
And it was Vecna.
And Noah Schnapp said Vecna.
Yeah.
And that he felt bad for him, and like that there was like some sort, I don't know, like some sort of redemption or something. And like Millie, or I don't remember who he was interviewing with, I think it was Millie. And Millie looked at him like he wasn't supposed to say that. And
well, Noah spoils like
Noah going to spoil. And
yeah.
I think we're gonna see so much more to Vecna's like personality inside and like his backstory, and we're gonna learn that Vecna is not the villain we think he is.
Yeah, see, the thing is, though, is I just don't really, I don't know if I'm fully on board with the idea that Vecna is not the main villain, because just the fact that, like, they've already done 2 seasons dedicated to fighting the Mind Flayer, that I feel like I don't know if they'll totally do a third, but,
Oh,
yeah, no, I can kind of see it. I don't know. I'm not 100% convinced, but it is a good credence. It is a good, idea.
Yeah.
well, I feel like the Mind Flayer is like the big bad like of everything because like just in season 1 and season 2, like and even season 3, like like I mean season 1, if you really connect all the dots, the Mind Flayer is responsible for everything.
Mm-hmm.
The Mind Flayer is probably what gave Vecna his powers, and Vecna created all the events that happened. And it's probably like they said, Vecna is the 5-star general to Vecna. That's what they've. I can't remember what who said that, but that's what he's portrayed as. He's portrayed as his 5-star general. Um, and I just see, I feel like we need to see the end of the Mind Flayer in this season.
Yeah.
Because the Mind Flayer is still out there.
Yeah. I don't know. I have a feeling that they might just drop the Mind Flayer, though. I don't know.
I don't know.
I will say again, if they bring back Kali again, that means they can close a lot of other loopholes. Because again, I don't think Kali was necessarily an 8. That whole episode was necessarily meant to. They were thinking of season 5 in mind when they had that episode. I think they're like, "Oh crap, we had this episode," and then they're like, "Oh, well, actually, we can do this." That's. I think they're very much intent on closing all loopholes, unless
Yeah.
they're leaving something open for
Closed
some
ends.
sort of a spin. That's how it always goes. But yeah, that's
Well, we kind of knew it was a spinoff.
Oh yeah, there was the Tales from '85 or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the animated show in
there's a
between.
Robin and Nancy like 4.5 season 4.5 thing.
Oh yeah, that book that just came out.
No,
Yeah.
it's not even a book. It's like, isn't it also like a season?
No.
Like a half season?
No, it was a book that
Oh,
it was a book that was released I think on Tuesday or something.
So I saw something that said that it was really, really that it was like a thing on Netflix, and I was like, I do not make that.
No,
Maybe.
there's an animated show.
Yeah.
There's an animated show that's gonna be in between 2 and 3.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Um. So what do you guys think is like the final, just your final theory of what's going to happen? I mean, we've been talking about a lot of different theories, but realistically, what do you think is coming?
So I have a number of theories. So again, some of this may be some of my own wishful thinking, but there's some potential evidence to think about this. So I can see it being the case where we haven't actually talked much about 11 tonight.
I will say. Yeah.
Really?
We haven't. You got to remember. Actually, to be fair, I will say a lot of this first volume 1 really revolved. Well, at least what we're talking about revolved so much around a lot of the other characters, but 11. I mean, to be fair, there's a lot of things that need to be addressed, and that's the biggest thing for me because first of all, there's Mike and 11's relationship. I'm sorry, this might be a bit of a hot take, and I might not necessarily go down the route you think I'm gonna go down. But I will say they never fully resolved their little love spat at the end of season 4. Season 5, their relationship is in a much healthier spot. But I will say, while there's a very good embrace that happens between them, I'm not 100% sure if it means they necessarily fully reconcile the relationship. Yes, the relationship seems to be in a lot healthier of a spot, but there's a lot of question marks that no one else has done. Second, again, this is resolving around the whole Will plotline, but I know one can take this many ways. There are a lot of people who subscribe to the theory that for some reason Mike and Will end up together at the end of the show. I am a heavy doubter of that. But anyways, there is a lot of as I told you, there's a lot of loopholes that need to be covered up between
Loose
the
ends.
whole Will, Mike, and all of that. Because I'm sorry, but with Will being the principal character, it's going to be something that's going to be brought up. Considering they literally said uh, I think they literally said Will and Mike are going to be at the hip. Filmed a lot of scenes together. We didn't see a whole lot of that in Volume 1, which logically means it's going to be all in Volume 2.
Mhm.
And regardless of wherever that leads, which I think most people agree it's probably going to lead to no reciprocation of feelings, but there's a lot of things that need to be addressed. For example, there was the painting thing, and
Oh yeah,
if you remember
I
the
forgot
painting at
about
the end of
that.
Volume 4, as of now, we don't know if Mike knows that it was commissioned by that it was actually something that Will did, which honestly, to be fair, but there's a lot of these things are a lot of the relationships, particularly everything between Mike and Al and Mike and Will, are all built on lies.
Just
Yeah.
add to your point. Will or Mike does know that Will commissioned the art, but Will said that
11 told him, but that's
what to draw.
And that's not what happened, but that is also a major thing that needs to be covered. But also, I can see it where at the end there is an epilogue. I would not be surprised if this is some sort of like a all these characters are in high school. I would not be surprised if this epilogue of sorts is like some sort of like them doing graduating high, all the characters graduating high school or something. Now, again, I'm not sure which ones it's going to be because we don't know who's going to die. But I'm presuming if we're going to have at least a couple of living characters, I believe the year they graduate is '89. Fun fact: a year older than my dad. But
So,
but basically there's a lot of things, but also I'm very much open minded to whatever else the show really has planned. I mean, there's things I think could potentially happen, but there's just it's mostly they need to close up a lot of loopholes. Otherwise, it's
Yeah.
leaves for at least for me and for a lot of other people I know, it leaves a lot of more questions than answers. But again, that's just where I find things coming from and kind of where I tend to resolve think see things.
yeah, no, they definitely have a lot of plot holes that they need to fill up. A lot of like for one, they did fix the cow plot hole. Like,
Yes.
Is it plot hole or loose ends?
Sorry, loose ends.
Loose ends, yeah.
That's the right term.
Yeah.
They have there's a lot of loose ends that do need to be brought back to fruition. And Kali was the main one that everyone was concerned about.
Yeah.
And now that Kali is back, there's a whole lot less loose ends that really need to be tied up.
Yeah.
I think they're slowly starting to wrap things up pretty well. I am a little worried that they won't end it to the greatest satisfaction that this show deserves.
Yeah.
Especially with how short the season is specifically. It's not as
Short?
long as season 4. Yes, it's not as long as season 4.
It's 8 episodes versus 9. But again,
Okay,
that
but
goes
like you
up
got to
to-
talk about like runtime. I think it pretty much evens out.
Oh no,
well,
no, it doesn't.
well, I will.
Season 4 is really long.
The finale is 2.5 hours.
It's going to be 2 hours and 5 minutes for the
finale was
season 5.
Really? Oh.
Yes.
But without going too much, I do know. See, episodes 5, 6, and 7 are going to be I again, this is just a theory from I'm not sure if this is true or not, but episode 5 is going to be about an hour and a half. Episode 6 is probably going to be about an hour. Episode 7 is probably going to be about
An hour and a half.
hour 45, closer to 2 hours. Because also it's right before it's the end of volume 2 right before the finale, and then the finale is going to be
2.5 hours.
they have
Probably.
2 hours and 5 minutes.
Oh, it's 2 hours and 5 minutes.
That's what they said. But again, I guess
long.
but it's going to be long. Yes. So yeah, that's
Yeah, like I said, it's so hard to wrap up a show that's so vast, so diverse. It's the biggest show on the planet, honestly.
yeah.
And how they wrap it up with, I mean, obviously 30 minutes of epilogue is a lot of good stuff to be able to wrap up. but I just hope they wrap up the main story and be
Yeah.
able to give us a good climax
Yeah.
without us feeling empty.
Yeah, I don't want to be shortchanged on this. I think, they have, especially considering the limited time they have left, there is a right way to execute things, but I do know also as well that all of the main cast have said that they were they were all very satisfied with their character endings. Again, it could just be their opinions that's not reflecting the majority of the general audience, but also, at least from what I have heard, is could tile things, but again, this is looking at things in the grand scheme of the show. But also, there's not much that people can say because they're all under a non-disclosure agreement about what they can actually say.
Yeah.
So, but also, I mean, again, because if these people have been playing their characters their whole lives almost, there's always going to be, like, I want to make sure my character has a satisfying ending. They were satisfied with it, but again, I'm not, kind of going with you. I'm not sure how there's going to be a whole, how that's going to reflect to the general audience, because there is maybe one or two or three good ways and a whole ton of not so good ways they could resolve all of the plot lines in ways I think that will be really deserving of how they are.
Yeah.
But again, I think especially when it comes to looking at the show, I probably watch it through a slightly different lens than you guys do. But definitely it's something that I really do like, and I really hope it's something where all the characters get their satisfying endings. I mean, they did say that everyone was in tears during the final table read, but again, that doesn't mean it was necessarily satisfactory ending. I'm just fingers crossed it is. I want to be sitting next to my friend in the movie theater, bawling my eyes out. Because I'm gonna actually go see it in theaters.
Yeah, there's not any in Green Bay. I was disappointed.
But I was like, you might as well stay out my stopping grounds longer. But
I want to go home.
funny enough, tickets are actually like super cheap. They're like $6 or $7 a person. But anyways,
Sam, you're in timeout.
that's my tangent.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I just watch it through the lens of I just want to go to bed, but I need to get this done. That's how I was with episodes 3 and 4. I'm like I really need to get this done because I don't want to get spoiled. But it's late at night. But I'm gonna push through. I think I finished watching 4 at like, I don't know, 1:30 in the morning.
I texted you like at 1:30, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so good!" Because I was left speechless. I was shocked for like 5 minutes afterward.
Yeah,
the whole thing. But
as soon as I finished episode 4, I called Bev and I was like, okay.
Have you grown to like it
It
more?
has powers.
Have you grown to like it more because you didn't like it originally?
I liked it more. I mean, I wasn't the greatest fan of season 5 how it started because it was a little messy.
Yeah.
And also I came off of season 4, which upon rewatch is one of probably the best. I think in my opinion, probably the best season. Like, just in terms of emotion, like how it made me feel emotionally. I mean, obviously season 1 was phenomenal, but season 4 made me extremely emotional. And I was hoping that season 5 would start off by giving us a little bit of emotion, like showing us Max, showing us like how they are handling everything after everything. But no, they just jump straight into like, oh, they're at school, Dustin getting bullied. They pushed everything super fast that they're like, oh, we're doing this thing that the audience doesn't understand quite yet. And then at the end of the episode, we finally understand what this crawl is. And I'm like, I don't like being confused right off the bat in a season. Just like I didn't like how they did the exposition. But then episode 2 came around and we got all this stuff with the Wheelers, and then we jumped into
that cold open was.
Yeah.
I when I rewatched it, I literally just like left with my mouth open.
No, you leave with your mouth open, and then episode 3 we get the turnboat trap. Then episode 4. After episode 2 it picks up,
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of episode one. Episode one really did not keep me
Yeah.
it didn't keep me very well, which made me lower my like made me have like a lower expectation for episode two.
Maybe that was intentional.
Maybe it was. But it just after I was able to let it settle and just think about it more, it's good. I need to see the rest of the season to really make me think about it on a deeper level.
And I think I
But
said that to you is like I feel like Stranger Things is a series meant to be binged. I think just the reason that they do stagnant like that is the build hype and because it just sells more. But I think Stranger Things is honestly just more of like it should be binged and I feel like you kind of just need everything to look at the season as a whole. But yeah, no, I think as of right now, I liked
It's a
season
very
5.
it's a very big picture show. You
yeah,
know,
It's
a lot of
100%
things
big picture.
a lot of things you won't get in the details. Again, I can number of things I could bring up that I think there's gonna be a point to them in the details, but again, you have to look at the big picture when it comes to things. One scene necessarily won't cut it. It's you need to. I really agree with you, Ben, when you say it's like it's a big picture
Yeah.
thing. You can't just look at it like in the one thing. But yeah, I do agree with you, Sam, with season five. I don't that the beginning of that is like okay, it feels like the beginning of every other season, but it's like you would have expected them to maybe be off the bat running a little bit, but
I mean, I listen. A lot of people like the beginning.
yeah,
It didn't quite work for me. I guess because of the hype throughout season four. Like I'm trying. When I went back and I thought about how I felt after watching season four or the first volume of season four. Because I went to a film camp when that was happening.
What a
And I was
nerd.
out. Hey, I was touring colleges and I went to a film camp in Ohio, and because there was a college there, Huntington University, and I was thinking about going there, so I decided to go to a film camp there to see if I wanted to continue that. I was going to continue that, but then I found St. Noah College and I fell in love with it. And then,
we won't be here filming that.
yes,
This
and I was surrounded by
Came full
so
circle.
many
You
film nerds
yeah.
who all had watched Stranger Things Volume One, and almost the entire weekend we're talking about like Lord of the Rings, Star Wars. But one of the things we talked about a lot was Stranger Things season one or season four, like Volume One. All of our theories. We talked about Eddie a lot, and just like how we think he was probably gonna die, which he did, and it was just that feeling of like the hype for Volume Two was so incredible that I think like obviously the hype for Volume Two is for this Volume Two is amazing.
yeah.
But I think maybe that just that time back then definitely did make me love season four more.
Yeah.
I mean, start of season 5 gave me Steve with a chainsaw. It's all I can ask for.
I will say my whole for you page has well, okay, not wanting to go too much on tangents. You say you're like more into the action and you're like film stuff. I like personally diving into the psychology and I psychoanalyze all of the characters.
Yes.
And that's really where I settle because I'm a very intellect. I'm one who loves just observing people and just really from what I've seen in a lot of things, what I've really liked has been really psychoanalyzing a lot of the characters, their intentions, how this is going to play out in the future, etc. In so many different ways. And I mean, that's kind of that's been like my niche of the show.
Yeah.
But everyone has their own reasons for why they like watching the show.
It's funny. Yeah. It's got a good action. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
Ticks my box.
It's very exciting.
Yeah. All right. Well, one last thing. Do you have one last actual point?
No, I was going to wrap things up.
I was going to wrap things up too.
Okay. Do you want to wrap things up, or I can wrap things up?
Well, just to wrap up, I know how the season ends. It ends with Derek just killing Vecna, and that's it. Just the Upside Down just gets destroyed.
Derek's huge or something.
Yep, it's Derek. Derek's gonna handle it.
Oh, we all know how it really ends. It ends with them all playing D&D and being like, oh, they killed Vecna.
Oh,
And it never it was never a real thing.
that would be the worst ending.
That was the worst ending, and the Duffer Brothers have confirmed that's not true. Thank the Lord.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Just now you got Derek Turnbow on my mind. He's so funny.
Derek's gonna win. Derek solos. Derek and Ted,
Yes.
they're just gonna team up. Ted's gonna wake up from his coma. He's gonna grab his golf club. Him and Derek, they're just gonna mess Vecna up. That's how.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for watching. Sorry, my friend is waving at us in the window. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for joining us for our Stranger Things talk. This is a little bit of a long episode. Thank you, Tommy, for joining us on our episode.
Yes.
You've been a wonderful guest.
Thank you.
We will have more Stranger Things episode. I guarantee that. We'll at least have one
Yes.
more.
We will have another one, hopefully, when we all come back.
Yeah.
Or maybe while we're over break. We'll see.
Yep.
But, well, thank you all for watching, and see you guys.
See ya.